Welcome back. I wanted to cover Warren Buffett's portfolio in this video and review the stocks that he owns at this time. Take a look at how these stocks have been performing year to date in 2025 to see which stocks are performing best and which stocks are not performing very well. I'm also going to compare Mr. Buffett's portfolio against the S&P as well as other super investors in 2025. Additionally, I'm going to look at Berkshire Hathaway and value the stock, looking at the future free cash flows I expect from the company and looking at the net present value of those free cash flows. I'm also going to look at the earnings per share for Berkshire Hathaway and try to value the company using the net present value of the earnings per share that I expect from Berkshire Hathaway. That way, I could compare the intrinsic value of Berkshire Hathaway versus the current stock price to see if the stock is priced at a premium or a discount. I'll share comments around his portfolio and around Berkshire Hathaway stock. I think Warren Buffett needs no introduction. His career in investing has spanned 7+ decades. He has been a genius at investing and having his investments compound. He's built a fortune. And what's really admirable is that he's always been fairly humble and fairly approachable, just a solid human being. Mr. Munger as well was a great investor, and he lived till he was 99 years old, and he was really active in investing up until the very end. Both Mr. Buffett and Mr. Munger are just terrific examples of a life well lived, and I really admire them both. Let's get started first with the portfolio, and then we'll look at Berkshire Hathaway. The performance of Warren Buffett's portfolio has not been great. His portfolio is up 0.88%, and the S&P is up 9.15. What's holding back his portfolio? Let's take a look. First is the Apple investment. It's been a very good investment for a long time, but this year, Apple, as you likely know, is down a lot. And in the first 2 quarters of the year, it actually resulted in big losses to the magnitude of $13.5 billion. So that was a pretty good loss on that particular position. In Q3, the stock's doing far better, and it's really accumulated some good gains so far. Some other notable names: he owns American Express. He's owned that forever. Bank of America, he's lightened up the share count. That's been working this year. So Bank of America is doing all right. One of his famous investments is Coca-Cola. Boy, he's invested in Coca-Cola a long time ago, and that investment's doing well. Chevron is not doing all that great this year. In the first 2 quarters of the year, it lost a little money, and then it's been gaining money in or gaining uh, performance in Q3. Occidental has historically been just a real plus to his portfolio, but not in 2025. Oil prices have not been relatively high, so Occidental hasn't made a lot of money, and the stock hasn't really gone anywhere. In fact, he's lost well over $1.4 billion if you look at the change in price in the Occidental stock. He's lost some money on DaVita, which is a healthcare stock, and he owns Kroger, which he made some money on. That looks good. VeriSign, he made some money on VeriSign, made $826 million on VeriSign. He owns some Visa, made some money on Visa. Good for him. He owns Amazon. Very interesting. That is I'm going to call it a newer business, especially when we're talking about Warren Buffett. He likes, I would say, established businesses like railroads, insurance companies, utilities, those kinds of investments. Looking down, Constellation Brands, he's doing pretty good this quarter, but he lost money on Constellation, which is a beverage company, in the first and second quarter. An investment that's made a splash is his investment in United Healthcare, along with other super investors that have bought into United Health. He's done really, I think he's buying a stock that's heavily discounted and will likely go up in value. We'll see how that goes. Looks like a nice winner has been Citigroup. It's up 33% year to date for him. Good for him. That looks awesome. I'm glad to see he's doing well with Citigroup. Mr. Buffett bought additional shares into Domino's Pizza. And in the first 2 quarters, Domino's went up about 7.35. in the third quarter so far, it's flat. Um, Charter Communications, it looks like he decreased the share count on Charter. Cable companies are just under a lot of pressure. That business model is pretty much broken and a part of the past and not a part of the future. So looks like he got out of that. He invested additionally into pool and some home builders. He is going into home building. He bought D.R. Horton and Lennar. So those are really wise investments. This is like right up Warren Buffett's alley. Is he understands home building. He bought at the right time. Home builders have been a real surprise to me. I was a Lennar stockholder for some time. I made some money, and I probably sold too early. I thought that the pandemic and high prices and so forth were really going to affect Lennar. I was wrong. Home builders flourished over the last couple of years because of the scarcity of homes, and it looks like Mr. Buffett is making an investment in home building. And the last one I'll point out, just because I'm a baseball fan, is the Atlanta Braves. He's done well with the Atlanta Braves, up 14.69%. He's made a little over $1 million. And it's interesting to see that some sports teams are publicly traded. Mr. Buffett wanted to be an owner in the Braves. So again, Mr. Buffett's portfolio is up 0.88%, and the S&P is up 9.15. Comparing Mr. Buffett versus other super investors, he's down the list a little bit. He's behind on the S&P, and he's down in the 13th spot based on the super investors that I track and try to measure their performance year to date. Now he has some pretty good company. David Einhorn is really good. Pat Dorsey is excellent. So it's not that super investors will have a great year every single year. On average, Warren Buffett has been a great investor. Just this year, his investments haven't worked. And what I find interesting is, year to year, how can I adjust my portfolio in order to make it perform better? And it's good to see how things rotate and shift and what stocks are good to own and not own. And that's what I try to get out of each review of each investor, trying to grab some ideas. But this year, Warren Buffett's just not near the top. The top performers are Chase Coleman, David Tepper, and that's where Warren Buffett ranks. Now, let me turn my attention over to Berkshire Hathaway. This is a very well known stock, and it's a little bit like a mutual fund or a collection of companies that are behind Berkshire Hathaway. A big part of it is an insurance business, fully owned business in Geico. That's a big part of it. They own railroads, utilities, which is interesting because AI is going to need so much power. So Berkshire Hathaway is a $1 trillion market cap company with revenues of $370 billion. They have a PE of 16, forward PE of 22. A lot of investors like the name. They feel a sense of security when they buy Berkshire Hathaway. I totally get that. Analysts think it's a strong buy, discounted by 23%. Year to date, it's up 7%. So it's not keeping up the S&P, but it's doing better than the portfolio, and 7.07% rate of return. Over the 1 year, up 9%. 5 year, it's done the job, up 132%. When we look at the financials, we see that very little growth in 2024, and the trailing 12 months pretty flat. And the railroad business is okay, but it's just that. It's just okay. The utility business, I found it surprising that they're not growing revenues very quickly, but I keep hearing that there's scarcity of power. So why can't they raise rates is a question I would have. The insurance business should be doing well. I own Allstate, and I look at Progressive and other insurance companies, and insurance companies are doing really well. So I would imagine that those businesses are doing well. One analyst is willing to look at Warren Buffett. I guess you don't want to review the legend, the awesome Warren Buffett, and he's an exceptional investor in every form. But I'd like to review information on him just so I can learn, right? And this analyst here believes that the stock's discounted by 23%. Let's take a look at forecast. Now, more analysts are willing to put their forecast out there on Berkshire Hathaway. The revenue's likely going to grow nice and slow. And it looks like 2028, there's supposed to be a pretty good growth cycle. But for the next couple of years, it's going to be flat. It's going to be an up year and a down year. And the earnings per share are going to grow nicely, but single digit, mid single digit. So I'll use that information in my valuation. Valued Berkshire Hathaway using their free cash flows and my forecast of the cash flows I expect from Berkshire Hathaway going forward, as well as their earnings per share. And I come up with about a 5% discount on Berkshire Hathaway. And for a safe stock that is a blue chip stock, that's a fairly good discount. For an investor that wants safety, this is a pretty good idea. The cash flows are not great, and they actually drive toward a value that is 8% below its current stock price. The earnings per share paint a brighter picture where the earnings per share are going to drive toward a value that is 24% higher than its current stock price. So Berkshire offers a small discount, but this is a very stable stock, a good one. And for the investor that's looking for that safety security, maybe an older investor, this isn't a bad idea of owning Berkshire Hathaway. You get exposed to some really good industries. For example, the insurance industry is doing great. They own railroads. Those are not going anywhere. And their utility business continues to get more valuable as you have AI pull more and more power. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you found it interesting. I have a paid member program where I provide more access to member only videos, access to member calls where we talk about stocks in the market, access to a Discord where each day we're communicating about stocks in the market, and on live streams, you can nominate tickers that I could do deep dives on. It's a variety of perks that I reward members that have sponsored the channel. It's quite simple, and it only takes a few dollars to become a member.